Hello, everyone. This is Doug Davis, broker in charge with Corambi Realty, and welcome to another session of Ask Doug. So today's topic, I'd like to go over what I would call home systems and how that relates to what a seller is selling and the condition of it and what the buyer is getting and what responsibility does the buyer have for different home systems. So home systems, I'm talking about the PV system on the roof, the solar system, the sound system in the home, the sprinklers in the yard, the swimming pool, the spa, the burglar alarm, all those kinds of things. And we have a state required disclosure statement, a personal disclosure statement that is required to be filled out by the seller, but we're finding that it's very inadequate. And as homes get smarter, there's more and more systems. So what does this mean? So I'll give you an example that I'm just dealing with right now, and there's a sprinkler system and it's not operational. And we had thought that, maybe a couple of sprinkler heads were broken, but it turns out that the entire system is not operational. So what do you do? It's included in the sale. They're not going to be digging it up. It's going to remain with the property, but they say they're conveying it, not conveying, and it's not checked off as a item like an appliance. It's not included, but it is included. So what do you do? Okay, so normally when you sell a house and buy a house, you have a home inspector. The buyer usually employs a home inspector to come and inspect the home. Well, here's the rub. The home inspector will go through lots and lots of things, each room, and go through and catch things. Plugs, takes the temperature of the oven, the freezer, the refrigerator, looks for leaks, past leaks, checks the windows, all sorts of things. But they caveat what they don't do. They don't do roofing, they don't do fireplaces, they don't do burglar alarms, they don't do sound systems. The list is extensive. So you really need to, when you sell, from the seller's point of view, you need to list all of those things as an addition to your disclosure statement and say what condition they're in and how you're going to convey it. And the buyer needs to identify anything the seller has forgotten to do, or in most cases they won't do anything other than fill out the disclosure form, which I've already stated is inadequate because it doesn't list the majority of the systems. So for example, like PV system, do you own it? That's disclosed, or is it leased? So here's an issue with a leased PV system. What if the buyer doesn't want your leased PV system? Well, sometimes I've heard that they don't want it. They don't want it. So what does the seller have to do? Well, they would have to pay it off, which would be a big chunk of money to pay off the lease early. And maybe that's not available to pay off early. Well, how about remove it? Well, the PV company will want to be paid in full before they do that. And then you have all the, shall I say, damage to the house. All the connectors would have to be removed and all the panels. And you probably have to be involved with Hawaiian Electric, which would take half a year to a year to get them to put in a new meter, a different meter, because you've got a PV paired meter with your system. Anyway, you can get the drift here. That's an issue on how you're doing that. What about roofing? Home inspector doesn't do that. I sold a house a couple of years ago, and I think every single nail was a half an inch above each shingle. Over the years of heating and cooling every day, heating, cooling, all of the nails wiggled up. Hadn't come out and fallen off, but they were going to. And they used the wrong kind of nail, and they didn't have ridges on them, so they just worked their way out. I mean, we're talking about tens of thousands of nails. Home inspectors don't do that. A roofer has to do that. So, okay, so air conditioning system, central, zoned, wall hangers, burglar alarms. Maybe you should get a contractor there to look at structural kind of things. Look underneath the house, the beams, the post, the rafters in the attic. You've got PV systems for electric. You've got solar, water, and the tank associated with that, roof, sound system, Sonos, sprinklers in the yard, swimming pool systems, heaters for the pool, heater for the spas. Termites, you have termite inspection and conducive conditions, meaning that we often find posts under the house, not on blocks of concrete, but right in the soil. It's awful. What else? Is the house insulated? Have you got adequate smoke alarms? Are you up to code for GFCI plugs near water sources? The trees. Who's trimming the trees? Are they touching the house? I'm coming across coconut trees with full loads of coconuts. I mean, those will kill you. Some homes have backup generators. Do they work? Do you know anything about it? Would you even know how to plug it in? How about someone to evaluate the home for building code violations? I see stairways all the time with no handrails. Common. You know, we live in the ocean, and some homes are more prone to saltwater damage. Are you looking at the home for that? How about drainage? It's nice and dry, beautiful sunny days, but when you get heavy rain after 2 weeks, is your property going to be safe? So do you know about that? Anyway, so that's touching on all the other things that need to be looked at and evaluated to keep buyer and seller out of trouble and lawsuits for the future. And we really need to develop a comprehensive list of all the different things on a property. So if you're a seller, you need to identify everything. And as a buyer, you need to double check that list if you get one. And if you don't get it, then you better make this list and evaluate it so that you don't have a big cost of repairing something as a surprise that you didn't know about because it wasn't evaluated during the escrow process. So hope that opens your eyes so that you know before you close on the property. All right, that's it. Hope that was interesting and eye-opener for you. And until next week, aloha.